I'll go ahead and start with this. I've never been a fan of the lowrider. Clearly that puts me at odds with tons of Harley Davidson buyers. The lowrider has been popular with both customizers and riders who prefer a more compact riding position, read shorter. I am neither. With this in mind, I'll dive into what my time with the 2018 Harley Davidson lowrider was like. As with all of the other former Dynas, the lowrider is now a member of the Softail line. If you haven't noticed the howling and gnashing of teeth over this change in some quarters of the Harley market, you haven't been paying attention. So, take a moment to bring yourself up to speed with my overview of the 2018 Softail line. This review will assume you've already read that article, and you'll have a better understanding of the points raised here if you're familiar with the information. When first looking at the 2018 lowrider, those familiar with the model will find it instantly recognizable. The profile is the same, the headlight has its signature brow, the step seat remains. However, there are also some fairly obvious changes. The dual shocks have vanished for the single under-seat unit. The prominent battery box is also missing from the right side and now lives behind one of the side covers below the seat. While the dual instruments are still mounted on the tank, the 2018's housing is more pronounced. The 2-in-1 exhaust was replaced with a set of dualies. And the engine isn't a twin-cam but rather a Milwaukee 8. Those are the visible differences. The invisible ones are largely related to the chassis. First, HD says the redesigned Softail frame is 65% stiffer compared to last year. In the real world, if the stiffness is calculated from contact patch to contact patch, the increase is a functional 35%, after passing the forces through the steering head and the swing arm pivot. Second, the lowrider's cornering clearance has increased while keeping the rider triangle essentially unchanged. This is notable functional improvement in the motorcycle. Although the lowrider, thanks to its mid-mount pegs, doesn't gain as much lean angle as some other Softails, the difference is real, and noticeable when ridden back-to-back with the previous generation. Harley clearly wanted to highlight this improvement in the lowrider, and the entire Softail line, since almost the entire route of the two-day introduction traversed some of the best sport riding pavement in Southern California. No, I'm not saying that the lowrider is a sport bike, but I am saying that lowrider owners no longer need to be leery of corners. When hard parts do touch down, the lowrider drags pegs first, giving warning before solidly mounted components begin to grind. The improvements in the chassis go beyond ground clearance, though. The increased chassis stiffness erased the chassis flex most commonly encountered in highway speed sweepers. Quick left-right transitions are also flex-free. Steering is more responsive than one might expect from a 19-inch front wheel, making mid-corner corrections a minimal effort affair. The suspension was changed along with the chassis, and the additional treble, increased to 3.6 inches, takes care of most road irregularities. The dual bending valves in the fork do an admirable job of soaking up bumps, and the solo rear shock's hydraulic preload adjuster means that riders can easily adapt the lowrider to varying rider/passenger/cargo loads. While magazine types, like myself, will still be asking for more suspension, lowrider owners will simply be benefiting from the 2018's improvements. Although the change to the chassis was responsible for the shock and awe surrounding the Softail line, the Milwaukee 8 engine steals the show. To make the engine's solid mounting to the frame tolerable to riders, a second counterbalancer was included. So, when you're running from 0 to 60 miles per hour 10% faster, as Harley claims, your mitts won't feel like they're attached to a paint shaker. Quite the contrary, the ME stays comfortably vibration-free through most of the range typically used. Yes, some vibration enters the fray above 3,500 RPM, but realistically, how much time do you spend there? Mostly quick passing maneuvers or the occasional sporty attack of a series of corners. Other than that, the 107 cu engine is in its happy place riding the fat 110 lb-ft, claimed, of the torque curve. As with all the Milwaukee 8s I've ridden, the EFI tuning is spot on, delivering smooth throttle transitions no matter how many times I tried to trip it up by rolling it off/on in corners. Shifting is solid in low effort. The torque assist clutch is appreciated, but this is a big twin. So, expect to use some muscles on the lever.